Hey there, and welcome to another edition of Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting. I'm DJ Impact, and I got Matt Michaels and Sin City Steve here. And welcome everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm glad to be back here. Starting the new year. Been busy for me, but hey, I'm here. We're here, and we're gonna
Did
talk.
you find the slippers that you lost at CES?
So what I was hoping is that someone reinvented some new slippers. See, that's why you go to those types of events. See,
there you go. The 2.0, huh?
The 2.0. Nice. Exactly. Oh man. So anyway, we're gonna get right to it. No Simon Street today, but we're gonna still make it do what it do. All right, let's start with the four-way stop. All right, Sin City Steve, man, what highlights you got for this week?
All right, so to absolutely no one's surprise, the Elite are your new AEW Trios champions after winning the Best of 7 series versus Death Triangle. This 7th match was Escalera de la Muerte, a ladder match. And quite frankly, this match was every bit of the series capper that it needed to be. This wasn't the longest match in the series. They went about 15 minutes. But this match was like as if it was a video game and both teams started with a full special meter. As soon as the bell rang, everybody just went crazy, and it was a wild spot fest, quite frankly. Omega ended up grabbing the belt to secure the win in the end for the Elite. Elsewhere on Dynamite, Adam Cole is back, baby. He came out unannounced after Tony Schiavone said that it brought him no pleasure to introduce the man who was coming to the ring next. And a lot of people thought that it was going to be MJF. It ended up being Adam Cole. And he got probably one of the loudest reactions of anybody in an AEW audience that I can remember. He came out to a hero's welcome, cut one hell of a babyface promo, and right there, I mean, he's going to be immediately slotted near the top of the card. It's going to be really good to have him back in the ring again, but the most important thing is his health. The promo that he cut gave a great foundation to work from, and like I said, the reaction was amazing. Elsewhere, you had other things that I'll talk about later on. But yeah, there was also rumors of a sale and stuff like that in another promotion. I'm sure we'll talk about that, but yeah. Four-way stop.
No doubt, no doubt. Matt Michaels, man, what do you got, man? What was your highlights?
Let's start off with Strowman versus Gunther. Oh man, that was amazing. And shout out to the SmackDown announced team, where you have Michael Cole calling him Gunther and Wade Barrett calling him Gunther. It was just like tomato. It was great. Liv Morgan, I'm loving the fucking attitude. The slap to Raquel was fucking fabulous. Good way to get into that match. Will she go anywhere? Who knows? But at least they're doing something with her. Tegan Nox gets a win, which is nice to see that they just didn't sweep her right under after bringing her back. Bray's promo was fucking on fire this week. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the character now when they do the match at the pay-per-view. Jinder Mahal is showing up on NXT, unfortunately, because of Veer's dad passing away. But the one thing that did, put those three guys together, and it gives us Julius Creed versus Jinder in a match that proves that Julius Creed is going to be a fucking superstar. He hung with them. It was really great. Of course, Sammy versus KO from Heyman backstage, and the way that Sammy looked during that whole thing with Heyman, to the interview between him and KO, to the bloodline coming in at the end of the match, and then, of course, for Solo doing the splash, and then Sammy the whole time looking almost conflicted if this is right that they're beating the shit out of Kevin, which is very interesting. And then Waller versus Braun is going to be in a cage, and wow, Bliss, holy shit, great. That's another thing. We'll see what's going on. And Dominic is becoming the best thing on fucking TV.
Absolutely. Good stuff there. All right. For myself, Hard to Kill. That's what I'm talking about in all my segments because, hey, I got a chance to enjoy the pay-per-view. And what better way to kick off the show than having the World Impact title, Bully Ray and Josh Alexander went. Man, this match right here was definitely one that exciting, just seeing the build up to it and then finally see that it happened. I love how the announcer goes, hey, Josh Alexander left his family at home, which I was happy to hear, only to find out that Josh's wife, Jen, was not actually at home. She was actually there, and it looked like she was about to get beat up once again by Bully Ray, but that didn't happen. She actually hit Bully behind, hit him under the belt, and that kind of helped Josh there with winning. But Bully had his folks out there. Overall, just a good match. I enjoyed all of that. I want to also mention there was a match with Moose and Joe Hendry. Yeah. Yes, I would have never thought those two would put on a spectacular match, but it was. In fact, Joe Hendry, this guy walked around the outside of the ring having Moose in a suplex. Do you know how big Moose is? This to show the strength of Joe Hendry. Man, that was clearly amazing. And so I really enjoyed that match. And Joe Hendry, who's the digital media champion, did maintain that belt. Now, just a couple of other mentions. Frankie Kazarian, of course, signed with Impact, which was great. And you know who else popped up during the show? Santino Marella. Remember him? He is the DOA, the Director of Authority. So he is handling the spot for Scott D'Amore, who pretty much got taken out by Bully Ray weeks ago. So it was cool to see him, man, and we'll see where that goes. But that's my four-way stop. All right, let's get to the Too Sweet for the week. All right, I'll start with you, Michaels, man. What you got?
So I have to go to NXT. The Women's Battle Royal was one of the best women's battle royals and one of the best scripted battle royals that I've seen in a long time. You have so much talent there, and they're creating stories through the battle royal, which was fabulous. Mm-hmm. But one of the hardest things to do is to time an ending where there's a tie. And we've seen it with Luger and Brett back before WrestleMania 10, and that was a foot spot, right? So you're controlling yourself when your feet hit. With this, to first have JC and Gigi be the final two, and to give a little drama between, hey, JC was going to just walk out of the ring, just eliminate herself. And that didn't happen. And she turned around and kicked Gigi. And then Gigi comes back and she's struggling with her and, and getting physical. And then she goes outside and we end up right there on that apron in the corner where both of them are kind of trying to suplex each other. And we get this beautiful departure of bodies that end up hitting the fucking floor at the same time. How do you fucking time that shit out? It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
And that sets up a brilliant fucking thing, is having Toxic Attraction still around that title, and what's going to happen when you have the two of them potentially in a three-way against Roxanne, and could they end up, one defeating the other or something in those lines, or will this lead to the end of Toxic Attraction? So there's a lot of good build there. Sol Rocca, she eliminates Lacey Ryan, which looks like they just set up something there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was so much going on in that battle royal. It just was phenomenal, and that's how you do good women's wrestling, good storytelling, unlike some other shows, which we'll get to in a minute.
Okay. I'll take this on. Good storytelling. Man, the story with Jonathan Gresham and Eddie Edwards. Again, this was for the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. Eddie Edwards just trying to get get done with all of these past ROH guys who, he was happy to join them when they all came over. And now he's just trying to get rid of them, and they all just seem to be coming back. And Jonathan was ready for the fight. Dude, I've always a fan of Jonathan Gresham. And man, I tell you, I see why. This match was, if I had to have a match of the night, it would probably be this one here. Because I really just didn't know where this was going to go. I'm like, okay, I know Jonathan is, in fact, they gave his stats. He's been 7-0. I think he's won in Atlanta, which is where the show was. He hadn't lost, I think, a singles match or something since 2018. There was something that they ran through. And of course, I knew that he was the ROH pure champion for a while. So I didn't know how this was really going to turn out. But Eddie Edwards ended up getting the win for this match. And you know what? It was quite believable because Eddie was throwing Eddie don't get as much respect, I don't think, as he should. I mean, when you end up watching this match, you're just going, wow, both of them were going hard on one another. And like I say, definitely for me, the best match of the night had to be those two. Let me quickly also talk about Mickie James and Jordynne Grace. The storyline with Mickie going, if she lose, she's retiring. And you know what? I really thought she was done. All right. They really did sell this good because I'm like, first off, there's no way in hell she's going to beat Jordynne Grace. At the same time, they had it where her family was going to be there. Anyway, she had a lot of support that was there. So it was all set up in a way that, I was thinking when she's going to lose, they're going to come console her, come on, it's okay. No, that wasn't the case. She took down Jordynne Grace, but the match was awesome, and I'm glad it worked out the way. I didn't see it coming. I'm just being real. I didn't see that coming at all. I was already writing down up. I already circled Jordynne Grace won. I feel silly, but it's good to see Mickie was still at it. She still is holding it down. So I'm also throwing her in my too sweet for the week. All right, man. Sin City Steve. What was your
right?
Yes.
So Hangman Page defeated Jon Moxley to kick off Dynamite. I've got to say, I do like the new, more aggressive Hangman Page. He did get the win with the buckshot lariat. It was a really hard-hitting match. You had chops, strikes, headbutt spots, and they were all pretty stiff. So if you like, the strong style, the stuff that you can normally get from New Japan, yeah, check this match out. It was very solid. After the match, they sold it like Mox was knocked loopy from the buckshot lariat, and it all comes full circle, as that is what legit happened. If you'll remember when Page was knocked out mid-match in Mox's hometown of Cincinnati back in October. Also on the show, Bryan Danielson and Konosuke Takeshita. This match was absolute fire. Before the match even started, Takeshita came to the ring to a very loud reaction. His pop actually rivaled Adam Cole's. No kidding. And the guy hasn't even won a major match in AEW. So this dude is going to be a star. It's just a matter of when. But then MJF came out, cut a promo, and he did he said the thing. He called Takeshita take a shitta. So there you go. There's he also mentioned, after allowing Takeshita to speak, that around here we speak American. Ooh. Yeah, MJF. Obviously Cheap Heat 101 for the promo, but this match that ensued was fucking awesome. Realistically, probably my favorite one between this and the opener. These were the two best matches on Dynamite, and yeah, this match benefited both guys. Amazing.
All right, good stuff. All right, let's get to this week's WTF. So I won't be too long on this. I'm really, again, sticking to Hard to Kill. I will say that when it comes to their production, they was almost acting sometimes as if they were during AEW's first year. And I don't know what was going on. They had all types of audio issues at times. The camera was missing some important moves that took place. And I must have flipped when I saw that happen a couple of times. And then I don't understand why there was no X Division matches that was on the main show. They were on the pre-show. They had a regular X Division match, and then they had the championship match with Trey Miguel, Black Taurus, and Crazy Steve. Yeah. So yeah, and Trey won, of course. You know, he's a bad guy now, so he cheated. It's all good. But I would just, but again, WTF? Why wasn't that on the main card? So, or the main show, I should say. So anyway, that's my WTFs for that. All right, let me go over to you. How about you, Sin City? You can go ahead. What was your WTFs?
All right, so for me, the Jericho Appreciation Society, they had a promo segment. They came out, they talked some shit, and then Ricky Starks and Action Andretti came out. There's a pairing. Anyway, in the promo, we found out exactly what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard, in case you were curious. Then we had Ricky Starks fumbling over words to call Jake Hager, and then challenging Hager to a match that was already announced earlier in the show. And then you did have Jake Hager saying the following, and I quote, "I know you got balls, Ricky. I can see them in your white pants. But I'm twice your size, so next week I'm gonna slap your face off your face." What the fuck? This segment was just fucking terrible, but it was great at the same time because it was.
You didn't even mention the coats, Steve.
No, I didn't, because I figured that you might. Anyway, let's also call it what it is. In the WTF realm, not nearly as funny. There was a bit of a subtext of Mercedes Moné being involved in the women's tag match. Britt Baker even referred to herself as the boss in a promo leading up to the match. And then nothing. That was a wet fart of a match. I mean, you could definitely tell that the crowd was let down, and yeah, it took them a while to get excited again. But obviously, they never advertised her appearance. But you know how rumors work. You all know how the internet works. Come on, don't try to be first to break a news story. Make sure you get it right. What the fuck?
Absolutely. All right, Matt Michaels, what you got?
So if you're going to have Juice Robinson sign with your company and you're going to have him come on Dynamite and make a challenge for Rampage against Darby Allin for a championship, you don't have him lose the fucking match with Darby Allin straight up the fucking first time he wrestled. Jesus Christ. Also, Sting, can someone take him out back? Just take him out back. Please put him out of the misery, because it's like, what the fuck? After Muta retires, Sting should fucking retire with him. You know, hug, kiss, and say goodbye. Yeah. If you want to talk about the Jericho Society, I'll talk about the Ass Society getting their asses pants pulled down and fucking shoved into cement for ass prints instead of handprints for the Walk of Fame. Bullshit. And then they have on Rampage a Golden Globe winner come out and basically try to fucking take a jab at the WWE, by saying, I like to come here because anything can happen. And that's because in AW, they can't get real celebrities, Paul Walker, fat fuck. Okay. Willow fucking Nightingale power bombs Anna Jay, not through the table, but past the table to where she fucking lands flat on the concrete. What the fuck, dude? That was fucking, out of all the shit that was also, dangerous in a fucking hardcore match. But the most disgusting thing was to see Ruby Soho bleeding like a stuck fucking pig on Rampage. The 5 people who watched the show were fucking jacking off because it was so great to see blood. But this woman literally put herself through fucking hell to bleed for almost no one. And as JR said, and this was a quote about one of the spots in the match, but it really fed the match, and that is, this was brutal. This was hard to watch. Yes, it was, JR.
All right. Let's get right into the lookout. All right. I'll kick this off one more time. I just got a question. I mean, who does Josh going to fight next? I'm looking out for that. That's going to be exciting to know who's up. I at one point during the Mackling match against him and Rich Swann, Macklin had said, "Hey, I'm looking, or I'm coming after you, Josh." Now I'm not saying that's where they're gonna go, but I am interested to see where does Josh Wheezy take down next. Now that Mickey's the champ, what's going to happen? Now earlier that night,
in the Rumble.
Yeah, I know.
With the belt,
right?
Yeah.
Yep. In the number 1 contenders match, you know what? Well, let me finish this thought. The number 1 contenders match, Masha Slamovich won that match, so that's pretty big. But then I'm thinking, I mean, I guess she can have a match and against Mickey and lose, but I know we're still trying to build up Masha, right? I mean, so I don't know where that's gonna go. But my thought when you just mentioned the Rumble, if I would have known, because I didn't know about Mickey being a part of the Rumble, but if I would have thought that, I probably would have put the pieces together and would have said, "Oh yeah, she's gonna win this title." But I had no idea there was talks of her being back into the Rumble. So but good on her, and I'm glad that they're doing that again. So anyway, that's what I'm looking out for. Let's see what's next for Josh. Let's see what's next for Mickey. All right, let me go over to you, Matt Michael. What are you looking out for?
Gunther saying that he's going to eliminate a bunch of people in the Rumble. I think that's wonderful. Give me more Gunther, please. And Liv starting at number 1. I am fucking interested to see if she goes anywhere or if she goes right over the top. That, what do we do with her? What are they going to do with her now? Sonya and Flair backstage had a fucking wonderful confrontation that was just fucking straight up brutal. I think those two are going to have a match coming up here that's going to be, a little more than what they did a couple weeks ago. Cody coming back, the hype videos, everything points that he's going to win that Rumble. So we'll see if they pull the trigger. Raw 30, that's right, Raw 30 years celebration in 2 weeks. Welcome back, Tiffany Stratton on NXT. Oh, so good to see you. That was wonderful. She says she's back. What was that, Steve?
I said I might need to tune back in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of it, we also later on get a promo that Stevie Turner from NXT UK is coming back. So, Steve, if you didn't want to just tune in for Tiffany Stratton, you're going to get Stevie Turner, who is definitely another one who's on fire. Boy, that NXT women's division, man, they are just killing it, and it's great to see where it's headed. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep the belt on Roxanne Perez, or is she the chosen one to build up, or is there going to be something else? And I'm really looking forward to Waller and Braun in a cage, because Waller, man, put the belt on him, pull the trigger.
Okay, Sin City Steve, man. What you got?
Yeah, you definitely pull the trigger on Waller, by the way. Anyway, I am looking out to the multi-layered storyline that we are in the process of getting with Eddie Kingston, Ortiz, and the House of Black. The House of Black are seemingly trying to recruit Eddie Kingston. Their tag match from Rampage, which about 5 people watched, as Michael said. Yeah, there was a little bit of dissension between Eddie Kingston and Ortiz. We'll see where that stuff goes, if anywhere. Bryan Danielson versus Bandito next Wednesday on Dynamite. Should be fucking great. We all know how the match is going to end as far as the result, but still, it should be a great match. I don't say much about WWE on the show week in and week out, largely because I don't want to talk a bunch of shit about it anymore. But I am saying this. I am looking forward to the road to WrestleMania. The period from the Rumble to Mania is always the funnest time of the year to be a wrestling fan. And I'm just hoping that they give us a lot to follow and a lot to invest in. And elsewhere, Michaels, you mentioned it in a previous segment, but Jeff Jarrett broke a guitar over the head of Paul Walter Hauser. I want this to be a regular thing. I want to see Jeff Jarrett break guitars over the heads of B-list celebrities that they bring in every single week. Fuck it. Do it. You also had Jay Lethal walk off with the Golden Globe Award. So there you go. There you go. Impact. Your boy Jay Lethal. He's going to be carrying around a Golden Globe Award going forward. Let's see what they do with that shit.
Okay. They need to do the old Kama Mustafa thing when he was with the with the $1 Million Man, and they stole the urn and they melted it down into a chain. Melt the Golden Globe into a fucking chain for Jay Lethal.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Or put it on the big Indian dude that never is used.
God.
All right, man. Best of show. All right, Sin City, what's your best of show this week?
AEW Dynamite. Very simply put, there were 3 4+ star matches, pay-per-view quality matches on a weekly TV show. Nothing was outwardly terrible without redeeming quality. I mentioned the Jericho Appreciation Society promo earlier, but at least it was funny. There was nothing just terribly bad. From top to bottom, no hyperbole. This was one of the more enjoyable episodes of Dynamite that I can remember in recent memory. It was fucking great.
Yeah.
And, I do want to take the remaining couple of seconds here that I've got. I didn't give them a Too Sweet of the week, but the effort that Ruby, Willow, Ty, and Anna did put out in that street fight that Michaels did rip to shreds. You can call it what you want, but the fact is, all 4 of them went in there. They had all the time, from the reports that I read, they had no restrictions. So they could do whatever they wanted, and that was what they chose to do. At least they had the freedom to do that. And, yes, Ruby bled like a stuck pig, and it was probably for 5 people. But that's the type of shit that you do to get people to tune in so that you have more than 5 people watching the show.
Oh, there you go.
Save it for the pay-per-view.
All right. Yeah. Well, let me jump in. I'm going to say Hard to Kill. It was definitely a great pay-per-view, top to bottom. I kind of briefly mentioned Steve Macklin and Rich Swann. That was actually a match that, if you had to look at the card, I was questioning why would it be on there, and I can make that the bathroom break. That would have been a mistake. They started off in the back because this was one of those match. What is it? Match anywhere. 3
False count anywhere.
False count anywhere. So they started off in the back. But what was so great is that the back of the arena was open, so you can see the cars that are driving through, and literally it went out into the walkway and almost into the street where these are like legit cars. They eventually work their way back into the arena, but as you're going through the arena, it's actually a car driveway that cars come out, like how you pay your ticket to, come out of the driveway, and there's a car coming out of there. And of course the cars see them fighting. They honk their their arm. And of course, you got Macklin goes over there and throws Rich Swann's head in their car. I mean, it's just shit like that. It's just funny. It's just great to see. And of course, it ended back in the ring. If you watch that match, it was a very fun match, and it was a lot better than you ever thought. Definitely not a bathroom break, but the entire match from beginning to end, I love it. Hard to kill. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, their Impact's going to be in Vegas next month, so I'm excited about that. 3 days, so we'll talk about that more as we have our shows. Matt Michaels, what was your best of show?
Well, so you brought up Impact in Vegas. March SmackDown's coming to Vegas at the MGM Grand, so that's another thing coming up here in Vegas. You know what? SmackDown and NXT were both wonderfully solid for the factor of. I love to sit there and watch wrestling with TiVo, right? Because you can fast forward through the shit. You're just like, oh, this is tedious.
Mm-hmm.
But you had 2 shows this week where it was hard to kind of start fast forwarding because you had solid matches, but you also had interesting stories going on. And like Steve said, the road to WrestleMania is technically on the way, right? You know, the Rumble is the kickoff, but we're already starting to see this step up of what you're going to get in terms of how we make this a 2-day extravaganza that is worth the prices they are charging to get into it. You know, that's the big thing. It's an expensive event now, and this is probably going to end up being the biggest gate in the history of wrestling.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see. And, you know, for a product that the whole week everyone was wishing Vince McMahon would just die, you saw that creative was not effective. And shout out to Shawn Michaels and NXT having pretty deadly have this open challenge where they're going to face 3 teams, and the first team they're going to face is the quote-unquote Rockers. Hysterical, because, you know, you know, 2 scrubs, but they were the Rockers, quote-unquote. And, you know, Sean still got that sense of humor, which is fucking great.
Good stuff. All right. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. We're actually going to give our final thoughts now because we kind of switched up what we did this week. But we always appreciate you for watching us and hanging out with us as we do all of this for you. And it's also therapy for us too. We get together and we get to just get the yap about what we enjoy watching. So with that, I look forward to seeing you all next week. Tell others about us. Help build what we're doing. We definitely appreciate that. Let me throw it over to you, Sin City. Anything you want to say to our folks out there?
Definitely. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all the stuff that you guys do. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Also, very special thank you to all the brave men and women serving this country, whether you're doing it on lands foreign or domestic. Thank you for allowing us to do what we love to do. And last but not least, repsports.com, reppsports.com. Go there for all your pre-workout, weight loss, and general energy needs. Again, that's repsports.com. Use promo code Vegas at checkout and save yourself 15%.
Perfect. All right, Mr. Matt Michaels.
Shout out to Gabe Sapolsky for coming to Las Vegas and going to Future Stars of Wrestling, putting out some knowledge for the guys there. Really just being someone that everyone was just wonderfully happy to have here in Las Vegas and at the facility and at a show. If you're not watching FSW, check out the network. This New Year's resolution event that just happened on Friday night was a pretty fucking great event. And a shout out to Vegas fans, because you guys are some of the best fans in the world. You guys bring such an enthusiasm that feeds into the performers that makes it a special place to be. And whether it's, you know, local companies, whether it's Impact, whether it's WWE or AEW. We're second to none here in Vegas, and I think it gets overlooked. So keep up that love and passion that everyone here in this city has for professional wrestling.
Awesome. That's a great word, Michaels. And you know what? You can even learn a lot more about that just from listening to the DeFalco Files. It's really a great series. You really get to hear, the inner workings of what it takes to make it. You got to start from the bottom, but eventually you will work your way to the top if that's your goal, and you're putting in 110%. We've seen it, and it's come through this organization out here, Future Stars of Wrestling. Just big shout out to them. And for what
if I'm not mistaken, DJ Impact, that's how you got your wife too, right? You started at the bottom and then you worked your way all the way to the top. Is that, or was it's the bottom?
You know what? We'll have to discuss that later. Hey, one last thing I just want to say really right quick too. We normally will shout out those who do pass along in our industry, and that was one thing I wanted to miss. I guess Don West had passed away, and they did a 10-bell salute also on that show. So it was I had no idea he had passed away. I knew that he was sick, and that's why he hadn't been on commentary, but condolences to his family and all, and he will be missed with that. So with that, we will see you all next week. Take care. Peace.